Joseph Murphy. How to use the power of your subconscious for wealth. If you are having financial difficulties, if you are trying to make ends meet, it means you have not convinced your subconscious mind that you will always have plenty and some to spare. You know men and women who work a few hours a week and make fabulous sums of money. They do not strive or slave hard. Do not believe the story that the only way you can become wealthy is by the sweat of your brow and hard labor. It is not so. The effortless way of life is the best. Do the thing you love to do, and do it for the joy and thrill of it. I know an executive in Los Angeles who receives a salary of $75,000 yearly. Last year, he went on a 9-month cruise seeing the world and its beauty spots. He said to me that he had succeeded in convincing his subconscious mind that he is worth that much money. He told me that many men in his organization, getting about $100 a week, knew more about the business than he did and could manage it better, but they had no ambition, no creative ideas, and were not interested in the wonders of their subconscious mind. Wealth is of the mind. Wealth is simply a subconscious conviction on the part of the individual. You will not become a millionaire by saying, "I am a millionaire," and "I am a millionaire." You will grow into a wealth consciousness by building into your mentality the idea of wealth and abundance. Some weeks ago, I spent some time giving a series of lectures in the major cities of the Republic of South Africa. Dr. Reg Barrett lectures all over the Republic on the laws of mind, and he introduced me at the various seminars we conducted. After one of the lectures in Durban, a man chatted with me saying, "You know, it is true. Wealth is first in the mind and then in the ground, the air, the sea, and everywhere." He pointed out that his father and grandfather had come from England to seek their fortunes in South Africa. His grandfather spent many months searching for gold and found nothing. He gave up because he had no more money. His father, on the other hand, went over the same territory and in a few weeks found a gold vein, which subsequently became one of the many famous gold mines in South Africa. He said that his father was a very religious man, and he constantly prayed that God would reveal to him where the gold was and lead him to green pastures and still waters. It is true the gold was in the earth, but the mental and spiritual wealth was in the mind of his father in the form of an implicit belief in divine guidance and the truths of the 23rd Psalm. Apparently, from what I was told, his grandfather was a tense, anxious, and jealous because some of his friends had struck it rich and he hadn't. This attitude caused a mental and spiritual blindness, so he could not see the gold under his feet. Look within. Do not look outside yourself for peace of mind, wealth, security, or inner strength. The divine presence is within you, the supreme intelligence, which created all things and is all-wise. No government, institution, or person can bestow on you the quiet mind or inner peace. Your subconscious mind is the seat of habit, and habits are built up in the same as you learn to walk, swim, dance, play the piano, type, or drive a car. You repeated certain thought patterns and actions over and over, and after a certain length of time, these patterns were implanted in your subconscious mind. Now you do these things automatically. You might call this second nature. The latter is simply the response of your deeper mind to your conscious choices and actions. Frequently during the day, affirm, "God's river of peace saturates my mind and heart. I rest in the everlasting arms of wisdom, truth, and beauty." Make a habit of repeating this prayer. Repeat it over and over again, knowing what you are doing and why you are doing it. As you continue to affirm and reiterate these simple truths, you will become peaceful, harmonious, and you will contribute to the peace and serenity of all those around you. Many say to me that they would love to find some hamlet, some town near the beaches, where they could find rest and comfort. Remember, you take your mind with you wherever you go. Actually, you meet yourself at all times. If the mind is in turmoil and you are anxious and worried, the beach or the mountain will not give you peace. You must choose peace. Some people are unceasingly searching for Shangri-La, where all is bliss and harmony, a sort of utopia, where all of us will share everything together and live harmoniously, peacefully, and joyfully. You must remember, however, that you create your own utopia. There is no such place except in the mind or man, who is in tune with the infinite, and who has found the peace that passed understanding. The problems, challenges, difficulties, and turmoil around us incite us to find that inner peace and also enable us to discover our divinity and rise above the problems of the world. Your invisible means of support. The trouble with most people is that they have no invisible means of support. When business falls away, the stock market drops, or they lose their investments, they seem helpless. The reason for such insecurity is that they do not know how to tap the subconscious mind. They are unacquainted with the inexhaustible storehouse within. A man with a poverty-type mind finds himself in poverty-stricken conditions. Another man with a mind filled with ideas of wealth is surrounded with everything he needs. It was never intended that man should lead a life of indigence. You can have wealth, everything you need, and plenty to spare. Your words have power to cleanse your mind of wrong ideas and to instill right ideas in their place. The ideal method for building a wealth consciousness. Perhaps you are saying as you read this chapter, I need wealth and success. This is what you do. Repeat for about 5 minutes to yourself 3 times a day. Wealth, success. These words have tremendous power. They represent the inner power of the subconscious mind. Anchor your mind on this substantial power within you. Then conditions and circumstances corresponding to their nature and quality will be manifested in your life. You are not saying, I am wealthy. You are dwelling on real powers within you. There is no conflict in the mind when you say, wealth. Furthermore, the feeling of wealth will well up within you as you dwell on the idea of wealth. The feeling of wealth produces wealth. Keep this in mind at all times. Your subconscious mind is like a bank, a sort of universal financial institution. It magnifies whatever you deposit or impress upon it, whether it is the idea of wealth or of poverty. Choose wealth. Why your affirmations for wealth fail. I have talked to many people during the past 35 years whose usual complaint is, I have said for weeks and months, I am wealthy, I am prosperous, and nothing has happened. I discovered that when they said, I am prosperous, I am wealthy, they felt within that they were lying to themselves. One man told me, I have affirmed that I am prosperous until I am tired. Things are now worse. I knew when I made the statement that it was obviously not true. His statements were rejected by the conscious mind, and the very opposite of what he outwardly affirmed and claimed was made manifest. Your affirmation succeeds between when it is specific and when it does not produce a mental conflict or argument. Your subconscious accepts what you really feel to be true, not just idle words or statements. The dominant idea or belief is always accepted by the subconscious mind. How to avoid mental conflict. The following is the ideal way to overcome this conflict for those who have this difficulty. Make this practical statement frequently, particularly prior to sleep. By day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. This affirmation will not arouse any argument because it does not contradict your subconscious mind's impression of financial lack. I suggested to one businessman whose sales and finances were very low and who was greatly worried that he sit down in his office, become quiet, and repeat this statement over and over again. My sales are improving every day. This statement engaged the cooperation of the conscious and subconscious mind. Results followed. You're right to be rich. It is normal and natural for you to desire prosperity, success, achievement, and recognition in your life. You should have all the money you need to do what you want to do, and when you want to do it. There is no virtue in poverty because poverty is a mental disease, and it should be abolished from the face of the earth. Wealth is a state of mind. Likewise, poverty is a state of mind. We will never eradicate all the slums in the world until we first wipe out the slums and belief in poverty and lack in the mind of man. During private counseling and when talking to people in foreign lands, as well as during interviews with people following lectures, both here and abroad, I hear the constant old refrain, there is nothing that $25,000 or $50,000 would not cure in my life. This refers, of course, to those who suffer from pecuniary embarrassment and who are financially handicapped. They fail to realize that wealth is really a thought image in the mind, and that if they follow the simple techniques as outlined in this book, in using their subconscious mind, wealth will flow to them in avalanches of abundance. It is your right and that of your family to have excellent food, good clothes, an ideal home, and all the money you need to buy the good things of life. You need a period every day for meditation, prayer, relaxation, and recreation, and the time and facilities necessary should be available to you. To prosper means that you begin to advance mentally, spiritually, intellectually, socially, financially, and along all lines. The riches of the listening ear and understanding heart. Recently, I had a wonderful letter from a widow who listens every morning to my radio program. The following is the essence of the letter. She pointed out that her husband had died a year previously and had left no insurance. She had 3 children to support, the house was mortgaged, and she had only $500 in the bank. Friends paid the funeral expenses for her deceased husband. She wrote, "I heard you quote from the Bible, but my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory, Philippians 4:12. And you elaborated on this by telling us that if we tune in on the infinite within us and believe in our hearts that no matter what it is we really need to bless us, comfort us, provide for us, or inspire us, the divine presence would respond, as it is written, 'Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear.' Isaiah 65:24. I sat down and began to think of God supplying all my needs and hearing me as I was praying, and a great sense of peace and harmony came over me. About 2 hours later, in walked my brother-in-law, who said to me that he knew of my predicament and that he also was aware of the spending habits and profligacy of his brother. He told her he wanted to take care of her and the 3 small children, assuring her that neither she nor they would ever want for the good things of life. He gave her a $10,000 cashier's check and set up an arrangement with his attorney and accountant to see to it that a weekly sum of money was sent to his sister-in-law for the rest of her life. This was in the form of a trust fund, legally instituted, which took care of the children also. This widow, recognizing that God supplies all her needs and that even before she asks, the answer is within her, proved to herself the existence of the inexhaustible reservoir within her. You can change yourself. Remember, you do not have a mystic wand enabling you to change the world, but you can change yourself by identifying yourself with the infinite presence and power within you, and constantly claiming harmony, peace, beauty, love, joy, right actions, and divine law and order. As you make a habit of this, your will rise above the turbulence and chaos of the world mind, sometimes referred to as the race mind, law of averages, or mass mind. The world, in biblical language, represents all the people in the world, some good, some bad. The mass mind, or law of averages, means the way 4.5 billion people are thinking. Every day you read of wars, cruelty, crime, hate, murder, race conflicts, and religious struggles. You also read of the good and noble people who contribute to the peace of the world. You cannot run away from the world or the mass mind. All of us are immersed in it because, subjectively, we are all one, and the psychic sea impinges on all of us. That is why you should keep prayed up. Assume now today that infinite intelligence is guiding and directing you, and that the power of the infinite animates and sustains you. Radiate love, peace, and goodwill to all people, and wish for them all the blessings of life. This attitude will guarantee you success along all lines. Furthermore, you will be contributing to the welfare of all people everywhere. You can definitely move triumphantly through the maelstrom of this confused world into ways of pleasantness and paths of peace. Your inner assumptions, beliefs, and convictions dictate and control all external actions. You can transcend a male nurse. A recent graduate got a responsible position in a nearby medical clinic. He came to me for consultation, saying that his nerves were jangled, the patients were half crazy, the phones were ringing all the time, and that he couldn't take it any longer. During the course of our conversation, it began to dawn on him that the people waiting in the clinic were sick mentally as well as physically, and that being a nurse, his job was to overcome the noise, confusion, and complaints in that institution. I said to him that the irritations of the sick were a basic part of his work, that he must rise above these problems, and that if he were to run away, he would be going from the frying pan into the fire. I reiterate that he must meet his problems head-on and grapple with them courageously. Then he would overcome. He listened, and at my suggestion began to affirm, "None of these things move me." Acts 20:24. I will overcome all vexations and difficulties. He decided to remain in the clinic and discovered that his new attitude changed everything. How he changed his life. I had an interesting conversation with a man in Johannesburg who told me that at 45 years of age he was broke, dispirited, depressed and dejected because his business had failed and his wife had left him because she felt that he could not support her in the way to which she was accustomed. The turning point in his life, however, came one evening when he attended a lecture on the laws of mind. The first thing the speaker added that this truth has been known for thousands of years, but that the rank and file of humanity overlook it or pay little or no attention to it. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. The heart is an old term for your subconscious mind. All the Bible is saying is that whatever you really think and feel to be true deep down in your heart will come forth and be expressed in all phases of your life. In other words, any thought, idea, or concept emotionalized and felt as true will be brought forth by your subconscious as form, functions, experience, and event. All through the ages, this has been the most outstanding discovery in man's life. This man began to make a habit of thinking of success, harmony, peace, goodwill, prosperity, and right action. He busied his mind with these concepts and proceeded to prove them to himself. When thoughts of self-condemnation or self-criticism came to his mind, he said that he would immediately affirm, "Success is mine, harmony is mine, abundance is mine." After some months of this altered mental attitude, he became a constructive thinker. He said he now has a business bringing him an income of over several $1 million a year in our money. He employs hundreds of people and shares his profits with them. The psalmist said, "I will sit with him on high, because he hath known my name." Psalms 91:14. Name means nature, and the nature of infinite intelligence are to respond to you. In the 3rd chapter of Exodus, the name is called I Am, or awareness, the function of thinking. Dr. Reginald Barrett, one of the teachers in South Africa, said a very interesting thing to his audience, the essence of which was this: "If you had no mind, you could not see me or hear me. You would have no sensation of the world around you. You could not taste, feel, smell the fragrance of the flowers in your garden. Your mind is basic to all living, and it gives life, substance, and form to what you accept and believe to be true. Everything you look at came out of the invisible mind of man and of God." He was president of a large corporation. Recently, I gave spiritual advice to a president of a very large corporation. He was very successful, had all the money he needed, lived in $1 million home, and had all the comforts and luxuries of life. Of course, there is nothing wrong with that. He came to this country penniless and had reached the top in his field, all of which is good. However, he was not successful in the art of living. He had very high blood pressure and suffered from migraine headaches and colitis. He said to me, "I am a nervous wreck. I have tried tranquilizers, sedatives, antispasmodic tablets, and nothing seems to help." I suggested that all he really needed was peace of mind, and that no one could give him that but himself. I pointed out to him the direction where he could find it. I suggested that he read and meditate on the inner meaning of the 23rd Psalm 2 or 3 times a day, and affirm frequently during the day, "God's peace fills my soul." I emphasized that if he began to think constructively and about the eternal verities in the 23rd Psalm, he could improve himself physically and find inner peace. He was desperate and was willing to try anything. I gave him the book Within You is the Power, in which the inner meaning of the 23rd Psalm is given. He had an open mind and began to meditate on the psalm and other chapters of the book. He found the inner quietude and peace which he had been seeking. Turning back to the God presence within and communing with divine love and divine peace, his soul was restored. How to receive guidance. If you are seeking guidance, affirm, "Infinite intelligence knows the answer, the way out, even before I ask." As I call on this supreme wisdom now, I know its nature is to respond to me. I will clearly recognize the lead or answer when it comes. I know it comes clearly into my conscious reasoning mind, and I recognize it instantaneously. Having done this, dismiss it from your mind, knowing that you have turned your request over to the infinite intelligence in your subconscious, and inevitably, the answer will come. You know when you have really turned it over because your mind is at peace, and you don't subsequently deny what you have already affirmed and decreed. A meditation on the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leaded me beside the still waters. He restored my soul. He leaded me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anoints my head with oil, my cup renneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23, 1, 6. Many people meditate on the great truths of this psalm and get wonderful results. As you focus your attention on these truths, absorbing them into your mentality, you are meditating in the true sense of the word, because you are appropriating more of your divinity, the God presence that dwells in your deep self. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord means God, the living spirit within you. I shall not want. This means you will never want for evidence of the fact that you have chosen God as your shepherd. A shepherd watches over his sheep. He loves them and cares for them. He examines the fields where they graze, and he eradicates locoweed, which would adversely affect the sheep. He leads them to the shade and guides them single file over the steep ravine to water, where they are refreshed. At night, he examines their nostrils to see if there are any needles or other irritants embedded there. If so, he plucks them out and pours some soothing oil upon them. He examines their feet also, and if injured, administers kindly to them with whatever medication or treatment is appropriate. The shepherd loves his sheep. He calls them by name, and they follow him. All this is symbolic, of course, but very significant, indicating to all of us that if we choose God as our shepherd, we will not want for any good thing. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entered not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbed up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. John 10, 1. Before we get an answer to our prayer, we must first possess our desiring consciousness. Our consciousness represents the sum total of our acceptances and beliefs, both conscious and subconscious. Our state of consciousness is the way we think, feel, and believe, and to whatever we give mental consent. In other words, our desire must be deposited in our subconscious mind. I must be before I can have. The ancients said, to be is to have. If I try to obtain what I want by external means, I am a thief and a robber. My state of consciousness is the door to all expression. I must possess the mental equivalent of whatever I want to be or possess. Let us take a simple illustration. A person wants to be healed and affirms over and over, I am healed. These mechanical statements are not enough. The person must enter into the joy and realization that he is healed. It must be a conviction based on the silent inner knowing of the soul. To be wealthy, man must assume the feeling of being wealthy. Then wealth will follow. The sheep are noble, dignified, godlike ideas that bless us. Our conviction of good is the shepherd that watches over the sheep, because our dominant state of mind always rules, in the same manner as a general commands the army. We call our sheep by name when we enter into the consciousness of having, being, or doing the thing we long to have, to be, or to do. If we sustain these moods, they gel and crystallize within us, and these subjectified embodiments become objectified manifestation. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. John 10, 5. The strangers are the thoughts of fear, doubt, or anxiety which enter the mind. These ideas delay our healing and postpone our demonstration because these thoughts neutralize our good. It is idle to pray that the infinite healing presence is making you whole and perfect, and at the same time be resentful or fearful that you cannot be healed. If you believe that circumstances, conditions, events, age, race, lack of money, etc., can preclude the possibility of attaining your objective, you are, in biblical language, a thief and a robber. This is why it is said, All that ever came before me, the conviction, are thieves and robbers. John 10:8. Meditation is for the purpose of redirecting your mind along godlike ways so that divine law and order may govern all your activities and all phases of your life. Shakespeare said, "All things be ready if the mind be so." The Bible says, "The works were finished from the foundation of the world." Hebrews 4:3. This means that we should open our minds and hearts and accept the gifts of God proffered to us from the foundation of time. We should reorder our minds and ask ourselves a simple question: how is it in God and heaven? The answer is, all is bliss, harmony, joy, love, peace, perfection, wholeness, and indescribable beauty. The all-wise, the all-powerful, and the all-knowing one is within us. No matter what we seek already is. Love is, peace is, joy is, power is, harmony is, and the answer to every problem is within us now. At this moment, God knows only the answer. Be sure to remember a basic truth. William James, the father of American psychology, stated that he felt the greatest discovery of the last 100 years was the awareness of the powers of the subconscious mind. Dr. Phineas Quimby, who started healing people in 1847, pointed out in his experiments that, if I really believed a thing, the effect would follow whether I was thinking of it or not. This is of great importance, because it reveals to us that whatever has been deposited in our subconscious mind governs and controls us. In other words, your subconscious beliefs, assumptions, and convictions dictate, control, and direct all your conscious actions, whether you are thinking about them or not. Whatever is impressed in your subconscious mind, whether good or bad, will always be expressed on the screen of space. Your habitual thinking is gradually absorbed and recorded in your subconscious. There they become laws and beliefs, which act automatically. The crossroads of life. Go your way into the village over against you, and as soon as ye entered into it, ye shall find a cold tide, whereon never man sat. Loose him, and bring him. Mark 11:2. And they went their way, and found the colt tied by the door without in a place where two ways met, and they loose him. Mark 11:4. And they brought the colt to Jesus, and cast their garments on him, and he sat upon him. Mark 11:7. All of us are at the crossroads every day. The colt at the crossroads is your mood, your mental and emotional state, before entering into the deep of yourself. The colt represents the undisciplined state. Suppose you have a desire to sing and you have a wonderful voice, but you fail to have an outlet for your voice on the stage or radio. You must then discipline yourself and affirm knowingly, God gave me this voice, and God opens the perfect channel for me where he sings majestic cadences through me. Imagine you are before the microphone or on the stage singing gloriously and majestically before an imaginary audience. Feel the thrill and joy and wonder of it all. Practice running this mental movie frequently in your mind. As you continue to do it, you are disciplining the colt, the formerly undisciplined desire, and your mental image, through frequent habitations of the mind, will sink into your subconscious and come to pass in divine order. The crossroads also indicate our capacity to choose, divide, and select. Watch what you take into the deep of yourself every night. As you go to sleep, your conscious and subconscious are creatively joined together, and your last waking concept is registered in your subconscious. In other words, your conscious mood prior to sleep has crossed over to your subconscious mind, and the latter brings it to pass, whether good or bad. Your reactions to today's impressions mold your tomorrows. Be careful of your reactions, as these are the moods or tones, which, if carried into the deeper mind, will manifest themselves. You can control your reactions, and thereby control your moods. They brought the colt to Jesus. One of the meanings of Jesus in the Bible is illumined reason. It also means, I am, je suis in French. The names Jesus and Joshua in the Old Testament are identical. Both mean God is the Savior, or solution to all problems. And of course you know God indwells you, and you are your own Savior. The word Jesus also means your desire, the realization of which would save you from the predicament. You bring your desire to the I am, your consciousness within you, and as you feel the reality of it and rejoice that the almighty power is moving in your behalf, and as you sustain this mood, which is the meaning of he sat upon the colt, After the impregnation of your subconscious, your desire, like a seed, undergoes dissolution, and you experience the manifestation of your ideal. This is the meaning of, "And Jesus entered into Jerusalem, and in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. And Peter, calling to remembrance, saith unto him, Master, behold, the fig tree which thou curses is withered away." Mark 11, 20, 21. A complete rejection of lack, a refusal to accept limitation, or the acceptance of failure withers the idea of lack away. "No man eats fruit of thee hereafter forever." Mark 11, 14. This means there will be no acceptance of doubt hereafter, and no acknowledgement of lack. The fig tree in the Bible is a symbol of lack, sorrow, and limitation. Your aim in life. If you have a gun and it is cocked, ready to shoot, you can aim it or focus it in whichever direction you choose. You change the direction or angle by changing the base, but when you pull the trigger, you have no further control, and you cannot control its effect or direction. Likewise, when you are focused, after having placed your attention on a mood of lack or failure, and you sleep with that mood, you reproduce it and reap the result. The English language is called the language of angels. An angel is an attitude of mind, a messenger of God. It also means the angle at which you aim. There are numberless angels or attitudes of mind. Therefore, your mood determines whether it is a good aim or a bad aim, a good angel or a bad one. Discipline your attitude of mind and contemplate what is lovely and have good report. Your camera has a lens. You focus it correctly, and you see the object or person clearly. Then you take a snapshot. Likewise, your angle or focus must become one with your ideal, which is perfect focusing. Handling that burden. When you feel frustration and obstructions to your good in life are apparent, then render to God the things that are God's, which means to pray according to universal principles. Pray this way. Think about the infinite intelligence, boundless wisdom, absolute harmony, and supreme power within you. Then claim, "Divine freedom is mine, divine peace is mine, and there is a divine harmonious solution taking place now." Be constantly aware that Infinite Spirit knows the way and reveals the solution, and you will soon find the answer in your physical world. When you tune in with the Infinite, your spiritual thoughts will transform your physical or material world and redeem it from sorrow, lack, and limitation, bringing beauty and order into your physical world. The present moment. Did you ever stop to think that if you are planning something in the future, you are planning it now? If you fear something in the future, you fear it now. If you are thinking of the past, you are thinking of now. The only thing you have to change is your present thought, and all that you can realize is the outer manifestation of your habitual thinking at the present moment. The two thieves are the past and the future. If you are indulging in remorse or self-criticism over past mistakes and hurts, the mental anguish you experience is the pain of your present thought. If you are worried about the future, you are robbing and stealing from yourself joy, health, and happiness. Count your blessings now and get rid of the two thieves. To think of a happy and joyful episode in the past is a present joy. Remember, the results of past events, good or bad, are but the representatives of your present thinking. Direct your present thought in the right channels. Enthrone in your mind peace, harmony, joy, love, prosperity, and goodwill. Dwell consciously on these concepts and claim them, and forget all other things.